Welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Lisa Harding, and today's episode is really special. I've had the honor and privilege of working alongside Marcia Wall for quite some time as one of our amazing Academy coaches. And let me tell you, the praise and feedback we get from members about her is endless. And it's obvious why. Marcia not only knows her stuff inside and out, but she brings such a calming, motivational presence to every conversation. She truly cares for her clients like family, and she knows what it takes to help teachers move forward to that next level. On top of all that, she's just an all-around awesome human. And I was so excited to sit down with her and share more of her story with you. This episode is a perfect chance for our Teacher Career Transition Academy members to get to know their coach on a deeper level. But it's also packed with practical, inspiring advice for any teacher navigating a career transition. Let's dive in.
I'm Lisa Harding, ex-EdTech CEO turned certified teacher career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I was recruiting, interviewing, and hiring teachers for roles in corporate America. Teachers that ended up being some of my all-time best employees. Fast forward through my own career transition, where I left my role as CEO to become a stay-at-home mom, I now work with and empower teachers to transform their lives by turning their once distant career dreams into realities. In this podcast, I give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a burnt-out teacher or simply need a change and you're looking to create a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. All right, well, welcome to the show, Marcia. I'm so excited to have you joining us today.
Thank you.
And this episode is a long time coming for many reasons. One, Marcia and I had to push this recording off a few weeks just due to personal situations. And then also Marcia has been a coach with us here at the Teacher Career Transition Academy for quite some time. And it seemed long overdue for a get to know you session. So we're excited to have you, Marcia.
I'm excited to speak with you, Lisa.
And for our listeners out there, Marcia is one of the coaches here at the Academy. And for our members that are listening, I know that you jump on small group sessions with her and you've seen her in some of the on-demand coaching, and maybe you're doing some one-on-one coaching with her as well. But we don't get a lot of time to hear about you, Marcia, and your background and your story. You're so focused on helping all of us. So I'm excited to press pause on that and get to know you, and for our members to get to know you a little bit better today. So could you jump in, just tell us about your background and where you came from and where you are now?
Sure. So after college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I definitely needed to start making an income. And my mother had been an educator all of her life, and she suggested that I try substitute teaching to make a little money, try it out, have some flexibility. And so I gave it a go. And I quickly found that I really liked doing it. And so I jumped into teaching bilingual kindergarten out in San Diego. Eventually, I moved to New Orleans and I taught trilingual kindergarten, first grade, French, Spanish, and English. Also taught some photography. And eventually, I made my way into being a teaching artist at some of the local schools, teaching comedy and photography as well. And at some point, I realized that maybe that wasn't for me. And I started teaching at the college level, teaching English. I wanted to do that because I'd always loved being an English student. And then at some point, I realized that wasn't it either. And eventually, I'm kind of giving a long story short, right? Eventually, I realized that what I liked was motivating and coaching people. And so I sought the help of a career coach. And very shortly, I realized that I wanted to be a career coach. And things took off from there.
That's awesome. And I love, you kind of have the breadth of teaching from kindergarten all the way up through college. You've kind of juggled a lot. And that's one thing that I like to encourage teachers at the Academy to do is when you're very early on in a career transition, sometimes you just have to ask yourself, like, is it just my grade? Is it just my subject level? Is it just my school building? Is it just my district? So I think it's really great to, try on those different hats in education. It sounds like you kind of went through the same thing. But I know you also had some roles in corporate America as well, outside of, just the classroom. And now you are helping folks with their career. Was there a moment in your transition where you knew for sure that you wanted to be a coach, or did it kind of come to you slowly?
Well, I would say both. In addition to all of that other education work that I did, I marketed myself as a homeschool educational consultant on a freelance basis. And that was going very, very well for about a year. And then in August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit, which I survived. And all of my clients were suddenly all over the country. And so, one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that I gigged for several years in a variety of different fields: photography, comedy, radio talk show host. I started doing some career coaching. And I did that for maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And then I don't mind sharing with the audience that I had an illness that kept me out of work for about 3 years. And I wasn't sure that I'd ever be able to go back to work. And once I realized that I could, that's when I sought the help of a career coach. And I think this is a really important point in this story, because even though I saw the career coach and realized that's what I wanted to do, I looked back on my entire career and realized I had been doing one form of coaching or another for my entire life. As a teacher, we're coaches, we're motivators. We help people to set goals, right, Lisa? Um,
Absolutely.
I had even for a short time been a dean at a trade school. I had interviewed for career coaching positions in the past. So it was funny because it seemed like one day I had this epiphany, but at the same time, I had unknowingly been moving towards this my entire life.
I think that's something that a lot of career transitioning teachers eventually realize, because it's hard to get your footing when you're first thinking about what career might be next. But once that door opens, you realize, like, oh, these are transferable skills. I have been doing XYZ my whole career. I just hadn't seen it in this light before. And I think you shed a good light on, your transferable skill of just ability to coach people. And teachers, as you know, have so many transferable skills, which are helping them get into careers in all sorts of avenues.
Absolutely.
And so getting into coaching, I know there's certifications and just life experience that are important. Was there anything that surprised you about the process of becoming a coach, or what education did you have to do to get where you are today?
Well, that's really interesting because my first official role, I think my title was employment specialist at Jewish Family Service in San Diego. I did not actually need a certificate for that. I was able to be employed and really fully make that transition. But what I knew, and I think a lot of educators are like this, I knew that I wanted to know more, that I needed to know more, that I would be my best by knowing more. And so I got certified through the National Career Development Association. I eventually also earned the Global Career Development Facilitator certificate. I have another certificate in coaching people through mental wellness journeys. And then, like any good teacher, right, I get certificate upon certificate upon certificate. I'm always doing ongoing training. So I think what is important to me about that story, particularly for transitioning teachers, is that you can leverage what you already have to move into a new role, right? You may not need a new certificate or training to jump into a new role. You might be able to get that later. I see that happen a lot of time with case management, in project management, and all sorts of other roles, right? Teachers think, well, I don't have the qualifications. Guess what? You do. Guess what? You do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, one reason, obviously, I just love working with Marcia, and I'm sure our members probably do as well. If you've been coming to her small group sessions or maybe booking some one-on-ones with her, um, I love having like different backgrounds and philosophies of coaches that are part of the Teacher Career Transition Academy. I think it's really important for members to get different perspectives and have coaches of different backgrounds. And I know that you have some special approaches or philosophies or that you kind of bring to the table with your coaching. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I do. And first of all, I'm glad you said people do need different perspectives, right? I'm a great coach, I believe. I think I'm a good coach, but I'm not the only good coach out there. And people need to hear and listen from other people so that they can take the advice that makes sense for them and really take ownership of their career transition. My approach, I would say, first and foremost, is holistic. And by that, I mean, I don't treat people as job seekers. I see human beings first and foremost, and I want to know when I work with them, what are their fears? What are their challenges? What are their life goals? What are their dreams? What are their passions? What are their interests? What are their interests? What are their interests? What are their passions? What are their passions? What are their interests? What are their interests? What are their passions? 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 what is it that's going to work for them, and then help them to develop a career that's going to work for their life instead of vice versa, right? You want to be able to work to live, not live to work. I would say the other thing that really remains important to me are considerations around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And so a lot of my approaches are based on those principles and practices. So I like to consider myself as someone who's down to earth, very approachable, really client centered first and foremost, and helping people to get the skills that they need to take ownership of this process and move forward.
So one thing, and you know about this, but for our listeners too, one thing we talk about a lot here is imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome can strike anyone and everyone. It does not discriminate. I have myself gone through imposter syndrome. And I think probably every career transitioning teacher that I've spoken with has one way or another. But Marcia, have you ever gone through that and overcome that?
Oh, never. Absolutely not. Of course, maybe a couple times a day. I think what happens is that we may be really, really good at one thing, and we may have done that thing for a long time. And so when we have to change or find ourselves in a change, that can feel really, really scary. I would say one of the things that was really the benefit of Hurricane Katrina for me is that when I came back to New Orleans, I had no job. I'd lost my life savings and I had $1,000 to my name. And I didn't have the luxury of worrying whether I was good enough or not. I had to learn to gig in several different areas in order to make it happen. It was literally sink or swim, right? So I think if people have the attitude of why not, could be, let me give it a try. I don't know. I'm curious about it. Let's try it out and not really worry about the outcome. Look at it as an adventure. I think that's something that can help people to push through that imposter syndrome.
I love that. That's great advice. And one thing we talk about the academy is just how much mindset plays a role at every phase of the career transition, because you're going to come up to walls. There's going to be adversity. Like, you have to overcome that and keep going. So I love just talking about imposter syndrome and normalizing it, that everyone goes through it, and you can overcome it.
Yeah, I've done podcasts and webinars on this topic before. And what I tell people, it's okay to have the feeling, right? But don't let the feeling stop you from the action. So if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, make a list of your accomplishments, make a list of your skills, talk with other people to get feedback from them. Recognize that everyone goes through this. Make an action plan, right? Action is the antidote to fear.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Hey teachers, quick break in the podcast because I have something truly special for you. The Teacher Career Transition Summit is a free virtual event packed with expert advice, real success stories, and step-by-step guidance to help you explore new careers and land a job you love. It's happening on Saturday, June 14th. So if you're hearing this before then, go grab your free ticket. And if it's already passed, no worries. You can access the full replays or join a waitlist for the next one. Head on over to our website, teachercareertransitionacademy.com/summit to check out what's available now. And back to the podcast. Recently, you did a small group coaching session with members of the Teacher Career Transition Academy about navigating the emotional ups and downs of a career change. How do you think that without going into your whole small group session, how do you think the emotional side of this kind of plays out for career transitioning teachers?
I think it's huge. I think it's huge, not just for personal reasons, but because even though everyone says they love their teachers and they have a favorite teacher, right? I'm not sure that teachers necessarily get the professional respect. So there could be a lot of grief around some of this, right? Sometimes even shame, like, hey, this didn't work out for me, or I don't know what I'm going to do next. I think it plays a big part. And I think in any career transition, or really any big life transition, it's important to pay attention to your feelings, to own your feelings, to get support around your feelings, and recognize that that's going to be part of the process. and that it's not as if one day you're going to wrap everything up and everything's going to feel perfect for you to move forward, right? But to understand that that is a roller coaster, and you have to learn to sort of, and I'm mixing metaphors here, but you have to learn to ride the wave.
Yep, I love that. So what about the small group coaching sessions in general? For our members that are listening, maybe they have yet to join a small group session at the Academy. Maybe they're curious what it's like. Maybe they're hesitant. What advice or what would you want them to know to encourage them to show up for one of your small groups?
Well, first of all, that it's always a welcoming space, right? People are there to support each other. I'm there to support you. I was an educator for many, many years, and at heart still consider myself one. So there is a lot of empathy, first and foremost. It's not going to be a place of judgment. You can ask any question that you have, and I'd rather you ask the same question 3 times than to not ask it at all. Um, Also, too, there is a presentation part of the small group coaching session, but at its heart, it's a time for people to talk and listen and share. And you can bring up anything, even if it's not related to the topic at hand. So think of it as almost a group coffee clutch, where you can get the support that you need no matter what.
And I love the small group coaching for things that you touched on. And at the end, you really touched on it is, if you've listened to my coaching or my podcast, like, a really big thing for me to probably talk about more than people want to hear is like momentum and the importance of momentum, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, having accountability partners. Those are all for me, the intangibles of small group coaching sessions that I think make a huge difference, like keeping the momentum going and like actually jumping in and making the change. So while I love all the knowledge that we learn from those sessions, just the fact that you're staying accountable and surrounding yourself with people, I think can make a big difference on a career journey.
I think so too. And as a good educator, I always do assessment at the end, say, what did you learn? What's the most important thing you learned today? And how are you going to move that forward? And so, in my experience in these small group coaching sessions, people leave feeling more hopeful, more empowered, more supported, and ready to take action.
And one thing our audience might not know, so Marcia coaches lots of professionals in a variety of backgrounds and industries, and her career coaching isn't specific to career transitioning teachers. So she has that experience as well. But she does work with a ton of career transitioning teachers. If you can think specific to the teachers that you work with, Marcia, is there any mistake that you see the teacher is making in career transitions that just makes their job search harder that maybe they could avoid? And any mistakes
Yeah.
that come to mind?
Yeah, sure. I think the first one is the mindset. Until people have the belief that they can do this, until they really understand what their transferable skills are, until they understand that, yes, they may be an educator at heart, but their profession is a job. And that doesn't mean that that's all that they're capable of doing. It just means that they've done it in a certain arena for a certain while. And I find that if people aren't able to make that mind shift, then everything else becomes more challenging. I would say the second thing is that a lot of teachers in their resumes and in their LinkedIn and even in their networking sessions with people use a lot of teacher specific lingo, right? And I think you've probably seen this as well, Lisa. One of the things people really have to do, that teachers really have to do, is have an understanding of what they did in their careers as teachers and what that may translate into in another profession. And so if you can't do that, then you can't really explain to someone outside of teaching why they should hire you.
Yeah, you really need to understand that first yourself and believe in it, because if you don't believe in yourself, there's no way that you're convincing the other person on the other side of the table to believe in you either. That's where the tough love comes in with my philosophy of coaching. um, okay, so audience knows a little bit about you, your philosophy, some of what you do, some great advice that has come up. For folks that are listening who may have not joined the Academy yet, or maybe they're considering joining and wondering if coaching can actually help them. We kind of take a three-prong approach here at the Academy. We have the on-demand, which is self-paced coaching, the small group coaching, and now one-to-one coaching that's available on an as-needed basis. Just coaching in general, Marcia, why do you think this type of support is so important, specifically for career-changing teachers?
Well, I think one, coaching can help you to build that confidence. I think two, knowledge is power. I think everyone wants to conduct a really good, thorough career change and job search, but quite frankly, if you don't know how to do that, it's not going to be effective. So I think getting that knowledge is going to help you to do things in a more effective way. And I think the other thing is that, and I think the Academy does a phenomenal job of this, is really laying out the different steps from career exploration to job searching, resume, LinkedIn, networking, so that people really have an understanding of what the different aspects are. So you get that structure. And look, teachers love structure, right? We know how to scaffold in our instruction. And I think the Academy does a very good job with that. And I think the other thing is that accountability piece that is so important. And I think this is huge. And I'm in the Facebook group a lot, as you know, giving advice and supporting people. I think it's not just that you're signing up for the Academy and getting information. You're really joining a thriving, supportive community that is going to be there for you in many different ways, right? From the coaches to the executive team of Teacher Career Transition Academy, but also the members. The members are there to support each other. And I think that's why a program like this can really make the difference.
Well, thank you. And I love hearing all of that. And I agree that the members really are shining stars in what we do and what we're trying to build here, and truly the heart of everything, because the advice from them, what they're going through, sharing it in the group, and just the encouraging of their peers really honestly touches my heart every day. I hear stories about how members are connecting and encouraging each other, doing coffee chats with each other, connecting on LinkedIn. And I love that aspect as well. So as we kind of wrap up this episode, the get to know you, is there anything else that you would like our members or just our general audience to know before I wrap into my final question?
Oh, you have a final question. One thing I didn't explain about my own background, right, is that I have a lot of training in working with people with ADHD who may be on the autism spectrum. And I think it's important to know when people are looking for support to understand that there are resources for that as well. The other thing I would say, and it sounds cheesy, and I think Frank Sinatra said it before me, but I really believe that the best is yet to come. And I say that to my clients and my followers on LinkedIn all the time. That doesn't mean that every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but if you truly believe that there is always something to look forward to, then even if you're feeling in despair or the depths of darkness, you know that light is ahead and you can keep pushing forward.
I love that. And I feel like Marcia and I are always in sync, when we work together on different projects, but this just proves it, because you just answered my last and final question I had for you, which was, do you have a favorite mantra, quote, or piece of encouragement you love to give to teachers? And I know you do. So let's say it one more time for the folks in the back.
No matter what, the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Marcia. I love it. Great to get to know you a little bit outside the coaching sessions. I know our audience has enjoyed this episode as much as I have.
And I have as well. Thank you, Lisa.
Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed getting to know her as much as I did. She's such an important part of the Teacher Career Transition Academy team, and I know our members are so lucky to learn from her insight and encouragement. If you're already in the Academy, be sure to look out for Marcia's coaching sessions and on-demand trainings. And if you're listening and haven't joined yet, this is just a glimpse of the kind of support waiting for you here at the Teacher Career Transition Academy. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Classroom so you never miss a conversation. It would mean the world if you left us a review on your favorite podcast platform and even shared this episode with a friend who could use some encouragement. Remember, friends, the journey is just the beginning. Embrace the adventure.